Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Melissa Rich, and welcome to another episode, actually a very special episode of the Taking Care of Your Temple podcast. I'm going to give my little intro that I always make and then tell you why this is a special episode. So the objective of this podcast is to help women connect with God regularly and to use his grace, strength, power, wisdom, might, all the good things to help them improve their emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. There are 4 principles that we can use to do this. I mean, there are others as well. These are the ones that I talk about. One is we keep our focus on God. This is one of those things that sounds incredibly easy and is incredibly difficult to do. It is an ongoing process. So if you find that you have to keep pulling your focus back, you're doing it right, because that's how it works for all of us. Next, acknowledge that we are not enough on our own. Y'all, God is always happy to help us if we ask him for it. He's not going to, force his help on us. But if we ask, he is always happy to provide help, and he does. So we need to ask him for it. Next, remember, it is about progress, not perfection. Thank goodness God does not expect us to be perfect. I mean, we would all be in a really bad situation if he did. He wants us to keep trying, to keep working on it. And, we are not going to be perfect until we get to heaven. Then the 4th one is to work on consciously changing our thoughts or the messages that we give ourselves. Those are so important. What we say to ourselves on a regular basis determines how we think, how we act, how we feel, what we do, everything. So if you are giving yourself a lot of negative, I can't do this, I'm not worth much, nobody likes me, whatever, stop. Change the messages. Even if you don't completely believe them when you start, give yourself more positive messages anyway. It is really, really important. Okay. The verse for this podcast is, appropriately, 1 Corinthians 3:16. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? We are, and he does. All right, let me say a quick prayer before we get started. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to do this podcast. Thank you so much for the people who are listening. I ask that what I'm saying will be a blessing to them and that they will be able to use this to help them continue to move forward. Thank you so much for loving us. Amen. Okay, so the reason this is a special episode is because this, y'all, is number 52. This will be a year's worth of episodes. I look back at this and shake my head. I can't believe it's really been that long. So about a year ago, literally, I don't even remember what I was doing, but it was kind of out of the blue. God just told me, you need to start a podcast. And I said, wait, what? Are you sure, Lord? Because I don't even listen to podcasts. Really? I mean, I say that. I listen to one when I work out at the gym because I don't like to have to listen to all the gym music. Does anybody really enjoy that? I do not. So I listen to a podcast, and it's one my son started me on. It's called Born to Impact. It's amazing. I love it. But that's the only time I listen to podcasts because, y'all, when I'm working, I am either talking with people or I'm on the computer writing. I can't listen to podcasts and think when I'm doing that. So when I'm at the gym, then I can do that. I'm working out, and so that's okay. Anyway, so that is what happened. Since this is, and this year, the last several months were easier, but in the beginning, I was banging my head against a wall trying to figure out how to do these things. Thank goodness. A good friend of mine, Chris Hoke, who does Social Media Cowboys, stepped in and helped me figure out how to format this, how to, he posts it for me and all this stuff. Thank you, Chris. But yeah, there were a lot of things that were really hard to figure out. How the heck do I do this? But so it's been an ongoing journey. So I'm going to be giving 52 of my top health and wellness tips. Now, these are not all mine because I posted what I was going to be doing on Facebook. And so I have quite a few from friends and acquaintances. So I'm giving credit to people who contributed some of these tips. And then a lot of these are mine. And I hope that these are helpful to you. I didn't put them all in order, like the 52nd one and then up from there. But I think the top 12 or 13, I do have those in ascending order of what I found to be most helpful. And y'all, honestly, I could have done the top 3,000 health and wellness tips. There are so many that you can do. These are my top 52. Actually, I think I did 53, 52 or 53. Anyway, these are mine. You are going to be accumulating some on your own, and that's totally fine. So try some of these. If they're not helpful for you, go out and find some other ones. But here's what I do. Okay, the first one is actually a tip from a good friend of mine I just saw today in Women of Waco, Jan Thomas. And Jan is a rep for Rodan and Field. It's a skincare line. And her tip is to wear sunscreen and take care of your skin. Really, really good advice. It reduces signs of aging. It limits the appearance of sunspots or age spots, and it protects you from sunburn, and it reduces your risk of skin cancer. One of the reasons I put this one in is because I am very fair-skinned. Those of you who are watching this on YouTube can see. And my mom was a melanoma survivor. She got it twice. And I had a cousin, Carolyn. Gosh, this was back when I was in college or high school. And she died of melanoma, also very fair-skinned. So I'm very conscious of this. And Jan is absolutely right. It's something to be careful of. Next tip, limit alcohol and avoid smoking. If you drink, do it in moderation, because you don't want to be doing it in excess. And if you do it that way, it reduces the risk of stroke, liver disease, and cancer. And then y'all just avoid smoking totally. You can drink in moderation and be okay. No, smoking, there is no amount that you can do that's good for you. So just get rid of it. It reduces risk of heart attack, lung function improves dramatically. And again, you are just healthier all the way around. Number 3, try new things. I think this is such a good one. In order to keep our brains healthy and functioning, it's important to develop new brain cells. Did you know your brain develops new brain cells? They will if one of the things that you're doing is trying new things, because that etches new pathways in your brain. So it is a good thing to do. The act of learning new things, of experiencing something new, these can all generate new brain cells and new pathways. I have a funny story about that. When my late husband, Ed, was alive, when he had been, I think, in college, he was a chef at a restaurant and really liked food, liked cooking and all of that. Well, we had this period of a couple of years where we would go out to eat, and, you know, not all the time, but every few months he would decide to try something new on the menu. He'd see something look good in the restaurant, he'd try it. It would always be terrible. I mean, I don't know what the deal was, but during this period, it invariably happened. They hadn't cooked it right, or I don't know what it was, but he'd be sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is awful. This is terrible. Here, have a bite. And I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. I'll take your word for it. It's fine. So, you know, sometimes new things don't work out the way that they want to, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't try them. Next one. This is a really basic one, especially after COVID, but practice good hygiene, y'all. Wash your hands regularly, brush your teeth, take showers, get appropriate vaccines to stay healthy. Just practice good hygiene and take care of yourself. It really does matter. And y'all think that everybody does that? They don't. I have had clients in here who have been dealing with so much depression or anxiety. They told me, and I could kind of tell, that they haven't showered in several days or changed their clothes because they're depressed. So when you are depressed or really, really anxious, you don't feel like doing these things. But the kind of the irony is that when you do these things, you feel better, so you feel less depressed. So practice good hygiene. Another one, maintain a healthy weight. I think we all know that this is important. We just don't all do it. And the best way to maintain a healthy weight is good diet and exercising. Again, this is nothing new. When we do that, we look, act, and feel better, and it helps us stay healthier when we are maintaining a healthy weight. We can avoid things like high blood pressure, heart disease, sleep apnea, because we're in good physical shape. It really does make a difference. So here's another tip from a dear friend of mine, Carol Fisher Rogers, and she says to walk daily. If you're walking by yourself, use this time to talk to God. I mean, that's great. I love that. Ask his direction. If walking with others, listen well and enjoy yourself. Great advice. I love that, Carol. Thank you. Another one, keep learning. I used to kind of think this, and maybe some of you all did too when I was younger, that we would, as we get older and get to the point where, especially when we're done with school, we're done learning. We've learned it all. We know it all now. Haha. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. We need to keep our mind active by continuing to learn all the time. Reading, Learn new skills, pursue hobbies or interests. Learning keeps your brain cells working at optimum levels, which can help slow cognitive and memory decline as we get older. It kind of protects us from some of the effects of aging. And there's lots of different ways that we can learn. We can take a class in person or online. There's a lot of things you can learn how to do online, but I do like the in-person classes too, because then you have the companionship and the interaction factor as well. But if it's a skill that you want to take that's not offered locally, find something online. You can learn how to knit, to speak another language, play the guitar, do self-defense, decorate cakes, carpentry. Yeah, it's just endless. You can do whatever. The next good thing to do is to learn to set goals, short-term and long-term goals. Those really give us motivation and direction. They help us keep moving forward. It helps us prioritize what we're doing and figure out what we really want to do. And I've always said, if you don't know where you want to go, how are you going to know when you get there? I'm a big goal setter, as y'all can probably tell. I've done that all my life. It's just really important to me. And when you reach your old goals, when you achieve those, then you set new ones. It's not like, okay, I've arrived, I'm here. No, there's always new things that you can do. And also what can be helpful to reach your goals is to develop good habits and routines that help you move forward so that you can achieve your goals. Another tip from Michelle Youngblood Jocelyn: be kind and give someone a hug today. Love that. Hugs help reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and reduce the risk of heart disease, heart attack, or stroke. Also, it improves our self-esteem. Hugs can even decrease our sensation of pain. So through the act of hugging, our brains can produce soothing chemicals that help us feel safe and less threatened throughout the day. So when something stressful does come up, we don't have this big aggressive fight or flight response to it. Hugs help us stress-proof. And who does not need that? So hug somebody today. It's a good thing to do. Kind of make sure you know them before you just go hug a random stranger. Just a thought. But especially if you're around kids. Kids are great for hugging. They're good. And if you live alone and you have a pet, you can kind of hug and love on your pet. That works as well. They're not going to be able to hug you back unless, I don't know, maybe you have a monkey or something. That would be kind of weird. Most of you probably don't. Okay. A big, big health and wellness tip. Limit your screen time. We need to balance screen time with real life interactions and with outdoor activities. If we really learn to consciously disconnect from screens and from social media, our sleep improves, we have reduced eye strain, our posture is better because we're not like hunched over a computer. Also, our anxiety can decrease. We improve our emotional well-being. So I have my story with social media. I have a real love-hate relationship with it, honestly. I know it's necessary in a lot of things. And I will say, I do like getting on Facebook and catching up with pictures from friends who live or family who live far away. That's okay. I like that. I don't like a lot of the other stuff. It's one of those things that I know I should be doing, that I don't, and I don't want to. I probably will not. But just limit your screen time. It will pay big dividends. Here's one that I really like, this tip, and that is take up gardening. Gardening has benefits all the way across the board. It burns a lot of calories. Gardening is considered moderate to intense exercise. You can burn, I did not know this, about 330 calories doing 1 hour of light gardening and yard work. Who knew? My gardening right now is kind of consists of picking up dog poop in the backyard. Sorry, but it has to be done. So I do that when my dogs run around and make more poop. But yeah, that's a lot of what I do right now. Gardening can also lower your blood pressure. And I didn't know this one either. Time spent outdoors is good for your bones because you are exposing yourself to vitamin D. And vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium. It helps your bones and your teeth become stronger, among other things. There's other benefits as well. Also, if you are gardening and growing your own food, that can help you eat healthier. And your kids also, because they participated in it. Gardening is a great family activity. Can relieve stress. It can provide a sense of community if you are gardening with other people, like a community garden. That's a really good thing to do. Okay, gardening can also make you happier. I love that. You just feel better. The act of growing plants and being around them can increase your mood. Limit processed foods and sugars. I think we all know how bad those are for us, and they have a negative impact on our health. So they can help you lose weight and have more energy and improve your focus and concentration. That's always a good one. Another tip from a friend of mine, Dr. Carrie Barron, who has It Is Well here in Waco, itiswell.com, I believe, or .org, not sure. And she suggests, she is in fact, I did an interview with her. She was like my third interview. She is a, Carrie, I hope I'm saying this right, naturopathic doctor. I think that's right, I hope. She suggests eating a rainbow of foods. All the colors in vegetables, fruits, nuts, meats, and spices add different nutrients that our bodies need. So she said shoot for 30 different ingredients weekly, and variety, mixing it up, is really critical. I think that's very good advice. Here's one for me. Seek professional help when needed. Y'all, if you are dealing with a lot of mental health challenges, don't hesitate to get support and help from a professional. I say this a lot. I was a family therapist, an LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist, for 28 plus years. And there are some things that you just need some professional help, a different perspective on. A mental health professional can help you come up with a plan for solving problems, sometimes even recognizing what the problem is. Feeling stronger in the face of challenges, change behaviors that are keeping you stuck. Look for ways of thinking that are affecting how you feel. I talked about the messages that you give yourself. A lot of times we don't even recognize what those messages are. The mental health professional can help you with that. It can help with healing pain and trauma from the past, figuring out your goals, building self-confidence. All of those are really amazing. And some things, we can stumble through and figure out ourselves, but honestly, sometimes it's just much quicker to hire a professional and more cost efficient. I think I told this story. I recently had a Bradford pear tree in my backyard that during a really stormy, windy night, it split. I got up the next morning, half of it was still standing up, the other half was lying down. It was a big tree, like 30 or 40 feet. So I thought very briefly about trying to do this myself, with maybe getting my son to help me, provided we could find the time. But when I thought about how many hours it would take and equipment that we would have to rent, which we really didn't know how to use, I finally decided, you know what, I need to get a professional in here. And yes, I paid a fair amount of money for it. So worth it, every penny. They got 4 guys in there, and they trimmed that tree up, trimmed up a huge overgrown mulberry that had a ton of dead branches, leveled out a bunch of the branches from trees in my backyard. And my backyard now, instead of looking like a jungle, actually looks like a backyard. Totally worth it. So there are times when really calling the professionals is worth the money. It really is. Okay, Irene Salazar, another very good friend of mine in California. Give yourself grace when things turn out differently than expected. Amen. A lot of times we can be so hard on ourselves, and God isn't. So she says it is food for the soul. And that kind of goes with my next tip, which is to learn to practice self-compassion. A lot of times we can be harder on ourselves than anybody else. So we need to be kind on ourselves, and don't be too hard on ourselves. Don't beat ourselves up for mistakes or setbacks. Research shows, I love this, that people who are self-compassionate not only have greater self-confidence, but they are less likely to fear failure. They're more likely to try again when they do fail, and we're going to, and to persist in their efforts to keep moving forward. I love this next one. And I looked it up, and it is a good one. Coloring. Okay, this is from WebMD. Y'all seen the coloring books for adults? This is good for your health. I love color. When I was little, I loved coloring from, time I was a kid. One of the best things I ever got, my favorite present, was one of those big boxes of Crayola crayons. I think it had 64 in it with a built-in sharpener. I used that thing for months. Loved it. Totally loved it. It was one of my favorite things. So adult coloring books are becoming very popular, and they do have a lot of health benefits. One is they relax our brain, and that helps improve brain function. They induce almost a meditative state where we feel very calm, kind of zen, relaxed. It can improve motor skills because it is a fine motor skill. It improves our sleep if you're doing it before bedtime instead of looking at your screen. It allows your melatonin level to release naturally as your body gets ready for sleep. Who knew? Can reduce anxiety. Coloring for 20 minutes or more is an effective way to lower your heart rate and decrease feelings of anxiety. It also decreases and relieves stress. Okay, so the next tip is to learn to embrace a positive mindset. When we focus on positive aspects of life, we tend to develop a resilient attitude. So my story is that I was a born optimist. I mean, I've always been the glass is half full rather than half empty. And even if it is only half full, give me a few minutes, I can fill it up again. I mean, that's just where I come from. And one of the things that drives me crazy, I've shared this before, I've heard people say, well, I'm not, right, how do they say it? I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist. I mean, I'm like, so why is it more realistic to see all the bad stuff? Why isn't it more realistic to see the good stuff? I'd much rather see the good stuff than the bad stuff and focus on that. It has more benefits. I feel better. But if we learn how to do that, we can increase our lifespan, lower depression, lower levels of distress and pain, create resistance to illness, and just develop better coping skills. I think that's pretty good. And the research is really unclear on why people who engage in positive thinking experience these health benefits. One theory that they have is that having a positive outlook enables you to cope better with stressful situations. And so that reduces the harmful effects of stress on your body. It's also thought that positive and optimistic people tend to live healthier lifestyles. I mean, they make healthier choices. They get more physical activity. They follow a healthier diet. They don't smoke or drink alcohol in excess. So they're not sure, but there are some definite health benefits to being positive. Okay, another friend, Kay Crenwell-Gee Bradford. Proverbs 18:14, the spirit of a man can endure sickness, but as for a broken spirit, who can bear it? So she says there's a definite connection between our spirit and its soundness and our body's condition. And that kind of goes along with what I was saying before. When we focus, what we focus on or dwell on in our thoughts affects our body's health, as well as our spiritual, emotional, physical and mental well-being. Then another good one is another tip is to balance work and life. We all hear about, we need a work-life balance to prevent burnout, to maintain a sense of well-being. I honestly think this is one of the most important and one of the hardest things that God is leading us to do, especially as women. It's hard, y'all. It's important, and it's something that I struggle with routinely. I'm constantly kind of tweaking it. And I'll do pretty well for a while, and then I kind of slip up, and then I have to go back. And so I think it's really, really important. It is a good way to maintain mental health, to improve physical health, to minimize stress, which we all need. And it just helps you become a more well-rounded person, which is also pretty important. Okay, Sherry Larson shares that she uses her Chi machine for 30 minutes every morning to energize and 30 minutes every evening to release all negativity and sleep peacefully. So the Chi machine, I wasn't sure what this was, to be perfectly honest. And they say they promote well-being and increase energy. They help promote circulation and relax tight muscles. So I looked it up. It's a little machine that has, like, you're laying on the floor and your feet go up in it. There's these two little curvy things where your ankles go in. And so then the thing vibrates. And I'm not describing it very well, but you can look it up, CHI machine. And it is supposed to give you a whole lot of benefits. I haven't tried all of these. That's when I haven't, but it sounds cool. I like it. Next tip. cryotherapy. This is cold therapy, and it involves exposing your body to extremely cold temperatures for a short period to reduce inflammation, boost circulation, and increase energy. So I have used this one for years. I have bursitis that flares up every now and then in both hips. I had it in my knees, and thank you, Lord, that one has not been an issue for a long time. I have 4 blue ice packs in my freezer. And periodically, when one of my hips is acting up, or both of them, I will get them out, 2 of them, and wrap them in a small towel and then just sit on them. I'll put them under my hips and sit on them for like 20 or 30 minutes, usually before bedtime. And what I find it does is it just deadens the pain. There's something in the cold that just makes it feel better. I don't know how else to describe it. But again, I can attest that this can be helpful. So that's a good one. I love this one. I haven't done this since I was a kid, honestly. I'll tell you why in a minute. But barefoot walking. Walking or running barefoot on natural surfaces like grass or sand. Now, I do it on sand whenever I'm at a beach. It's been a while since I've done that. Can help improve balance, posture, and strengthen muscles in your feet. It also can potentially reduce inflammation and improve sleep. When we make a connection with Earth, this is what research is saying, there's a reduction in white blood cells and an increase in red blood cells, which leads to better immunity. So the reason I don't walk barefoot much anymore is because I live in Texas and we have ants in our backyard. I mean, especially we've actually been having a lot of rain lately. We've had a lot of ants and they bite and they hurt. So as much as I do enjoy walking barefoot, I don't do it outside because of where I live. But whenever I go to the beach, that's one of the first things I do. I slip my shoes off and I am walking barefoot on the beach and I'm a happy camper. Next tip from Chris Sawyer Rose. That's about practicing gratitude. Y'all, that is so good. We all should be doing that for our mental and physical health. And she said she had a lady tell her that she kept a joy journal. I love that. When her father passed, and she kept a record of all the sweet things that happened, it kept her focused on all the good things that we often overlook. And that is exactly what a gratitude journal or a joy journal will do. We are all so blessed, y'all. We are, but we take a lot of it for granted. When you are practicing gratitude intentionally, it makes us aware of our blessings. And a lot of times we're not. We take things for granted. So that's a good one. Here's one that you may not have heard of. I'm going to see if I can pronounce it correctly. It's called Shinrin-yoku. I hope I said that correctly and didn't butcher it. It's forest bathing. And it's a Japanese practice of immersing yourself in a forest to improve your overall well-being. This is really important because so many people suffer from nature deficit disorder. Y'all, that is a thing. And it's what it says. We're not around nature enough. More people living in cities, working in high-rise office buildings, and becoming addicted to their electronic devices. A lot of us experience this nature deficit disorder, and this is true for kids and adults alike. So when I first heard of forest bathing, honestly, the first thought that popped into my mind was people running naked in the forest. I wasn't real thrilled about it. That's not what it is. I guess you could, but you don't have to be naked. It's just walking in the forest quietly, gently, maybe touching some of the trees, just absorbing the atmosphere. I think it's kind of like what I do when I go to the beach. I get there and I'm just like, I mean, that just the atmosphere just soothes me down. It's the same type of thing so if you live near a forest, which I don't, you might try that. And you can just look it up, forest bathing. Another wellness tip is to cook at home. This is really kind of important, especially if you are trying to eat healthier or get healthier. When you cook at home, you have a lot more control, obviously, over the ingredients that you're eating. It also can be a family activity, which can be kind of fun. It's healthier. Cooking can be very therapeutic. It brings the family together. It saves money. And you can avoid food allergies because you know exactly what is going into your food. So, have a night or two per week when the family gets in there and cooks. And you can cook more than you need and freeze or put in the refrigerator and then pull it out. I think I've talked about that. I have two different kind of soups that I love that I make. One is a black bean soup, and the other is a chicken vegetable soup. And periodically, I'll make up a big crock pot of each one, eat some that night, and then I put the rest in little containers and freeze them. And I just pull them out as I need them. And it's so good, y'all. It really is really good. It's tasty and it's healthy. So I like that. Here's one that y'all probably haven't done in a while. I haven't, and that is jumping rope. And it is excellent exercise. It's a fun way to get your heart rate going. It promotes cardiovascular health. It builds up endurance. If you've jumped rope for a while, you know what I'm talking about. It enhances coordination and balance. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. Improves your lung capacity. And there's some research that suggests it improves your cognitive or your thinking performance. When you are jumping rope, you have to be very present in what you're doing. Basically, focus on it. Because if you zone out like you can do in running, which is why I like running, I can just kind of float off somewhere. You can't do that in jump roping. I don't know if I said that right. If you zone out jumping rope, you're going to probably trip and fall on your rear end. So you have to really be present. But that's a fun one. And you can do that with family also. Here's another one, floating or flotation therapy. These happen in flotation or sensory deprivation tanks. They cause deep relaxation and stress relief in this really buoyant saltwater solution. I've done this one before, and there was a guy I knew who opened a flotation tank place in Waco. And I went a couple of times. I'd recommended it to people. It's really cool. Then COVID hit. Yeah, you can imagine. He ended up having to close it because nobody was coming in. It relieves stress, anxiety, and depression. It can stimulate creativity. It accelerates mental clarity and learning. There's a lot of benefits. The other thing that was kind of cool for me, it was the only time I've ever been able to float successfully. I grew up on swim teams, and I can swim really well. But when I try to float on my back, my feet sink every time. And it's really annoying because when my mom was alive, and then I have a brother who is still present, they could float for hours. I can float for 30 seconds. But in the flotation tank, because there's so many Epsom salts in it, which is one reason it's so good for you, I could float. I was like, this is what it feels like. It's kind of cool. Okay, another health tip is to open doors and windows in your home and leave them open for a while. Indoor air is often 300% more polluted than outdoor air. It's not good. So it can improve your blood pressure, strengthen your immune system, and your house smells better. So that's a kind of an easy one. Now, I will say, in Texas during the summer, don't do it. You'll be sorry. Another one that I have done for the past several years that I love is to reverse the order of your meals. Most of us, if we eat breakfast at all, tends to be a light one, medium lunch, big dinner. So wrong. And I figured this out a few years ago. I'm eating my biggest meal right before I go to bed, and I'm not doing anything, and that food is just sitting there in my stomach. And I've talked about this before. The best way is to eat a large breakfast, medium lunch, small dinner. It will be helpful. Here is another one that I like because I just did it today. It's called taking a nap. Napping is not just for babies. Studies show that they are good for adults as well. A short nap in the afternoon can boost memory, improve job performance, lift your mood, make you more alert, and ease stress. So I take a nap every day when possible. I did one today. It's kind of easier for me because in my office I have recliners, because when I have hypnosis clients in, I want them to lean back so they don't fall out of chairs from being so relaxed. Yes, it happens. And so I just stretch out in recliner. Now, I will say I don't take like 3-hour naps. I think I did 15 minutes today. Just enough to let me drift off, zone out, and just feel better. It's amazing how much better I feel after I have a nap. So here are some tips for napping. One is keep them short. As I said, don't do it for a long time. If you do, you're probably going to feel groggy. Take them early in the afternoon. I do mine right after lunch. If you take them too late in the day, then you're not going to sleep as well. And then just create a restful environment. I turn off the lights. I put on my hypnosis music. I lean back. I have this nice fuzzy blanket. I get comfortable and I enjoy it. Okay, next tip, watch nature. Bird watching is a great stress reducer, and it's a good way to connect with other people because a lot of people do it. There are I had no clue, 45 million people are birders. That's what they call them. And bird watching ecotourism is flourishing. So you go to places where they have different species of birds and you watch the birds. I mean, and honestly, I don't know that much about it. I don't know if you jot down that you saw the bird. I'm not sure how it works. I like to watch hummingbirds, and I keep thinking I need to figure out how to plant a garden that attracts hummingbirds because I know you can do that, and butterflies. But birding is a $41 billion industry per year, and it keeps growing. It's something the whole family can do, and you're outside, so it's cool. You can also do it more simply. Put a birdhouse up in your backyard or front yard and put some feed in. I need to do that too. I haven't. So another health tip is to play disc golf. My son likes this one. You will be outside, you're moving around. During the 1990s, also did not know this, it's amazing what you find out when you do some research. Disc golf was the fastest growing sport in America. New courses were growing up all the time, and the sport continues to grow today. I've talked about this before. Disc golf is very popular in Waco. We have several courses. It helps develop an appreciation for nature, confidence, patience, and independence. Y'all, I would be so bad at this because I have never played, but I've watched people, and I'm terrible. You're aiming. It's like this little kind of mini frisbee thing. It's called disc, and you have to throw it into like this basket thing. I would never make it, but it looks like fun if that's your thing. Here's one that kind of took me back when I found this one: inversion therapy. It's using an inversion table to hang upside down, and it can relieve back pain and improve blood circulation. This was really popular in the 80s. I remember this. You would strap yourself down on this table, and then you would flip it up. And so, again, you were hanging upside down. Or you could use these, I think they're anti-gravity boots that also did the same thing. So, again, it's still popular today. It can improve flexibility, reduces nerve pressure, realigns your spine, all the good things. One that I have not done in a while, and I am just getting ready to start again, is hula hooping. You can use a regular one or a smaller weighted one. It is great for your core. When I lived in Oklahoma, before I moved here to Waco, I had just a regular size hula hoop, and I was just starting to learn how to do it. In fact, I took a class, and then I moved. And where I live now, I just don't have the room inside to do it. I don't want to do it outside. It's just too hot or too cold or too windy. I know that's kind of wimpy, but there it is. However, a client of mine this last week told me that you can get a weighted hula hoop, which I ordered one from Amazon, and it's smaller, and it has this, I don't know how to describe it, you'll just have to look it up, but it has this little weight thing that you can put inside. So when you do the motion, the weight swings around. All kinds of benefits. Burns calories, body fats, and inches. It boosts your cardiovascular fitness. It helps your core, improves balance, works your lower back muscles, and it's inexpensive, especially this one, and portable. You can take it anywhere because it's pretty small. So very cool. Another good tip, health tip, is to swim. Y'all, if you have access to a pool, use it. Water walking, water aerobics, or swimming are all so good for you. Almost all of your muscles are used in swimming. It really is like a total body workout. And aquatic exercise is a low impact activity. It takes pressure off of your bones, your joints, your muscles. And it also, when you're walking or swimming, the water offers this natural resistance. So it's just so good for you. If you have access to a pool, get in the pool and work out. Next tip is geocaching. I think I said that right. And this is where you I haven't done this one either. It uses a GPS-enabled device that you go and find these caches, like these little containers that are in a tree or under a rock or something, and you're supposed to take something out, put something in, and write about it in the logbook that they have there. And a lot of families really get into this because you can do it as a family, so it's pretty cool. Okay, Now, these next ones are my top 12 or 13. I forget how many. Anyway, these are my favorites. 1, play with your pets. Love on them, play with them, have fun with them, cuddle with them. Pet owners are less likely to suffer from depression than people without pets. People with pets tend to have lower blood pressure. And playing with a dog, cat, or other pet can elevate levels of serotonin and dopamine, our feel-good chemicals in our body, which helps us feel calm and relaxed. So, and of course, your pet likes that as well. Next one, volunteer or give back. Contributing to your community or helping others. Y'all find some good organizations that you can donate to. That is such a good thing to do. It boosts your sense of purpose and happiness. And you're doing good for others. I'm at the age now where honestly, I'm probably not going to go to Africa and, help people dig wells or whatever, but I can contribute to organizations that do that, like Water is Life. I did an episode on them. I'm fine with that. And it's a good cause. I like what they're doing, and I don't have to go all the way around the world to do it. So it's a good thing to do it. Next one, intermittent fasting. A lot of weight plans involve tracking what you eat and counting calories, but in the past decade or so, what they have found is that when you eat can be just as important as what you eat. And so intermittent fasting, there's several different schedules you can do. I typically do intermittent fasting 2 to 3 times a week, and on Tuesday and Thursday, and then sometimes on Sunday, it just kind of depends on how that goes, I don't eat dinner. So I have about a 16 or 17 hour time frame in between meals, between lunch and then between breakfast the next day. And what that does is it gives your body time to digest, process all the food, all the fats. It's just better for you. Yes, I feel a little bit hungry, but I'm not starving. I mean, because I know I'm going to eat breakfast the next morning. I feel better. I function better. So I really do highly recommend it. It can reduce brain fog, it improves heart and brain health, and it lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes. All good. Okay, next, take a good supplement. I've talked about this before. I highly recommend Juice Plus. Helps maintain blood pressure, lower cholesterol, increases energy, and it gives your body the benefit of all the fruits and vegetables that they need. They're in those little capsules. It is such an easy way, y'all, to stay healthy. I've been on them for the past 2 years. Huge difference. I highly recommend them. Next, crafting. I'm a huge crafter, so I love this one. Regardless of the crafting medium that you choose, scrapbooking, pottery, basket weaving, knitting, card making, sewing, etc., crafting can boost your mood, improve self-confidence, and lower stress. It's also been shown to improve mental agility. It's a natural antidepressant. In fact, research has shown that people who suffer from PTSD, anxiety disorders, or depression, or insomnia, or any level of chronic pain can lower those things by incorporating some type of crafting into their life. I love crafting. I do it every Sunday afternoon. I have a craft room in my house. Now that my sons are grown, I have room for a craft room. And I only get to use it once or twice a week, and it is totally worth it. I love it. Next one, I'm getting ready to get a drink. Stay hydrated. Drink lots of water through the day to maintain good body functions and overall health. Some of the benefits, I'm not going to list all of them because I'd be here all day. Lubricates your joints, cushions your brain, spinal cord, and other sensitive tissues, regulates your body temperature, helps maintain blood pressure, helps with weight loss, lowers anxiety. Love that one. Drink water, y'all. Next one, get enough sleep. We should aim for between 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep every night to allow your body to rest, to recharge, to rejuvenate. I am currently writing a book actually on insomnia. I'll let y'all know as that gets closer to being done, but it's a huge problem. I've said for years, we are a nation of walking insomniacs. And people say that like that's a good thing. Oh, well, I only get 3 to 4 hours of sleep every night. And I'm like, please don't drive near me. You may think you're functioning well. You're not. So some of the benefits of getting enough sleep. You get sick less often. It's easier to maintain a healthy weight. You reduce stress. You improve your mood. You are thinking more clearly. And I love this one. You get along better with people because you're not being so grouchy because you feel good. So sleep. Next one, learn to manage your stress. There are so many good stress management techniques nowadays. Meditation, deep breathing, yoga, martial arts. I mean, there's a ton out there. Pick something and do it. You find that you will lower your blood pressure. It will reduce your heart rate, boost your immune system. I really can't talk. Lots of benefits. This is one of my favorites that I recommend to a lot of clients, especially if they have anxiety. Laugh and have fun. Incorporate humor and fun activities into your life to promote happiness and to reduce stress. Laughter is a great form of stress relief. And I'm just going to give you some of the benefits because there are a bunch. Laughter can soothe tension, and it can activate and relieve your stress response. It can relieve pain. It can improve your mood. Laughter is just so good. And when I tell clients, especially my ones with anxiety, I prescribe humor or laughter therapy. And I tell them, you need to be laughing at least 15 minutes a day. Find some funny videos like on YouTube, watch them. You can do it with your family and laugh. It's good for you. It is good for every system in your body. So laugh. Next one, read often. None of us read enough, I don't think. We should all read a lot. It helps make you smarter. It actually increases your brain power. And it also improves memory function because it gives your brain a workout. It can increase your vocabulary and comprehension skills, helps you prepare to sleep, especially if you read before bedtime, which I do every night, prevents cognitive decline, and it's contagious. Both of my parents, as we were growing up and then later, were big readers, huge readers. And I think I've said that they were missionaries. We lived in Mexico. We moved a lot. I counted one time, and between first and 12th grade, I went to 12 different schools because we moved so much. Then I also, whenever we moved, we had boxes of books. And we counted one time, we had 50 plus boxes of books every time we moved. And that was just an important thing for them. And so I picked up that habit really early. Mom read to us while we were cleaning up the kitchen or doing chores. Reading, y'all, is so good. Another good one, I have done this one for years, I've talked about it before, is rebounding. That is jumping or running on a mini round trampoline. I set mine up, I did it today, in front of my TV. I am running and I'm raising my arms and I have the TV remote in one hand. I'm under a fan, especially when it's hot. It is so good. It's so good for your joints. It's kind to your joints. It strengthens your core. It increases bone density. Y'all, my allergies are better when I jump on my rebounder. All kinds of benefits. Next tip, stay socially connected. Maintaining strong relationships with family and friends is huge. It's a huge factor in staying emotionally healthy. And also surrounding yourself with positive and supportive people who support you is really crucial. So don't just stay connected with grouchy, negative people. Try to pick positive people who nurture you and that you can nurture back. It's hugely important. Next, eat a balanced diet. Eat a variety of fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, healthy fats to provide your body with the nutrients that it needs. Also, eat breakfast. Too many of you guys do not eat breakfast. Eat breakfast, y'all. It can help you live longer. It supports your muscles, strengthens your bones. It just has all kinds of benefits of making good food choices. Two more. Next to last, exercise regularly. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise per week, along with strength training. And I've talked about this before. I mean, like 15, 20 years ago, I never worked out because I hated it. And now I work out several times a day, including several times a week. So I average between 18,000 to 20,000 steps a day. Right now, it is 4:20 in the afternoon. I'm at 14,934 steps. So I will probably be over 20,000 steps today. Exercising protects us against a lot of chronic diseases, lowers blood pressure, helps us sleep, reduces feelings of anxiety and depression. Okay, number one of my health and wellness tips: have a strong relationship with God and go to church regularly. Preferably go to church in person, not just online. We stay connected with other believers and with God. We're fed, we have good teaching, we praise and worship. It's just so good. And I've talked about this before. COVID gave me such a real appreciation for the privilege that it is to go to church in person. I was taking that for granted. Never after COVID, because I remember what that was like when I was sitting in front of my computer, which I'm so glad they were doing online church. It was much better than nothing. The first Sunday that they said, we're going to be back, I was there. And I've been there ever since, unless I've been out of town. And I am so happy to be back. When you are near to God, you experience rest in your soul. We get guidance, we get wisdom, and we receive strength because we really realize that we don't have to do everything on our own. Thank you, Lord. So those, y'all, are my top, I think they were 52 health tips. I hope they were helpful to you. Okay. Now, this is a fun fact really about Texas. And that is, I'm kind of excited about this because my son and his wife and my grandbaby and my soon-to-be grandbaby are going to be here for Christmas. And we are going to go to Santa's Wonderland. It's about an hour and a half from Waco. It's in Bryan College Station. It's like this Christmas village. They have what they call this trail of lights. There are over 4.5 million lights that they use. It opened in 1998 as a drive-through light display. So it's been going for 25 years. It's a massive Texas Christmas attraction, and it's a tradition for a lot of families. Every year they add new scenes and new lights, and there are so many things to do. Hayride, horse and carriage rides, meet Texas Santa, meet Mrs. Santa, food, snow tubing, petting zoos, pony rides, live music, nativity scene, and a patriotic freedom tunnel. It is so fun. It is so cool. If y'all are ever near here, you need to go. It's pretty amazing. It really is. Okay. Along with this podcast and Waco Hypnosis Center, I'm available for public speaking. If you would like to have me for an event, you can contact me through my website at www.drmelissarich.com, or you can email me at info@drmelissarich.com. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, I'd love for you to share it. Give me a review. That would be awesome. And honestly, I have really been privileged to do this for a year, and I hope to do it for several more. So thanks, everyone. Have a good day, and I hope to have you all back next week. Bye.